All right, welcome back in. I'm Casey,
I'm Kevin.
and this is our special guest. We're going to talk about hunting. It's Randy McKissick, all the way from.
Cattle Mills, Texas.
How far is that from here?
About an hour.
About an hour. Okay. By the way, before we get into hunting, y'all want to do the NFL picks first?
Whatever y'all want
Let's
to do.
do that.
You want to do that, Kevin? How did we turn out last week?
He was one up on me.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I picked the stinking Chargers. I figured the Chargers would beat Houston.
All right, real quick, let's go over Saturday. We got Texans and Chiefs. I think we're all going to pick the same one. I'm going to go with Chiefs.
I'm gonna go with the Texans just to be odd man.
I hope they
I
win,
would love to see the Texans win. I love the Chiefs too. The Chiefs and Texans are my backup teams after the Cowboys.
Okay.
So the Cowboys have hit the dirt. And
All right.
Do you watch NFL a lot, or just on when it's on and you're there?
I watched the Chiefs.
Oh, do you now?
When
I like the Chiefs.
I do. I mean,
But I like the
Mahomes
Texans,
is a
too.
Texas boy, so
Okay.
you know,
He's from Longview or something, isn't he?
White House,
White House, yes.
which is out by Longview and Tyler.
All right, Kevin. Chiefs, Texans.
I got Chiefs.
All
They're
right.
in Kansas City. So
Is there okay? So what's your? Go ahead.
what's my what?
What do you like about the Chiefs other than they're just rocking solid?
They were once a Dallas team. Some people might not know that, but they
Right.
used to be the Dallas Texans.
Oh.
And when Cowboys came along, what's the guy's name on them? You remember?
Tex Ram.
No, the one that owns the Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs.
He died a few years ago. But anyway, he packed up and moved to Kansas City.
Okay.
And I don't know if they were ASC or NFC team or whatever. I think that was the days of the AFL. And it was almost like two different
So
leagues.
when did that end? 80s?
What? No,
Yeah.
it was
It was 60s.
yeah, because
Wow. Oh, that's right. You're a little older than us, aren't you?
I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was in the
tell, can you?
it might have been 1970, like 69, 70s when
Oh, okay.
it all became the National Football
Football
League.
League.
Then you had AFC,
NFC.
NFC. It used to be AFL and NFL. So it was two different
CBS.
leagues, basically. No, CBS.
All right, so
You go first on this one. I want.
Okay, is this a rumor? It's on Facebook. Redskins are getting their name back. Have y'all seen this?
I've heard talk about
I
it.
would love to see
On
that.
Facebook, they said the Redskins are getting their name back and they're doing away with the woke crap. Well,
I
I've
did
never
hear
stopped
that
calling.
about 3 or 4 months ago, but
I got a cousin. He'll call us. He'll call BS on it if
Will
it's
he?
wrong. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll know next time. All right, so Redskins and Detroit. I'm going with the Lions.
Me too.
I'm going Lions.
All right.
I like Detroit.
That is today. I think they start around 3 or 3:30. Correct? Yeah.
3:30. Yep.
And then 7 or 7:30, something like that. All right, let's go to Sunday. We've got the Los Angeles Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Go ahead, Ken.
I
You
want
go
the
first.
Rams to win so freaking bad.
I know
I just
you
cannot
do.
stand them.
I'm same boat with you.
But I
cannot
think the
stand
Eagles are
it.
going to win. I don't know. But did you watch any of the game last week of the Rams? Either one of y'all?
No.
They came to play.
I was making sure Debbie was
Who
watching
did they
my
play
chart
last week?
correctly.
Who did they play? Help me out. Who did they play?
The Rams.
Yeah, last week. Well, crap. It's
Look
right
at your
here.
thing right there.
Right here. Vikings, and the Vikings were like
Vikings.
14 and
Yes.
3.
Oh,
They-
yes.
yeah. And they were 10 and 7, and they played in Glendale because of the fire and all that out in LA. And anyway,
So who's your money on? Who
I might have to go the Eagles because they're playing in Philly, and I don't know. They got that running back, the one that used to play in New York. What's his name? Anyway, you know what I'm
Dickerson.
Wow.
Okay, so
anyway, the dude, he's the leading rusher in the league this year.
Oh, I know one. I know who you're talking about. He is really good though.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're good.
I'm gonna go with LA
Are you now?
only because I hate the Eagles.
I know.
I do
but
too.
You're putting money down. What you doing?
Well,
You're going with the Eagles.
yeah,
aren't you?
no, I'm gonna stay with LA.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
if I was putting money, I'd stay with LA.
All right, I got a buddy, a really good friend of mine who is a major Eagles fan. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. Not that I love them or anything, but no, I just think they're a better team. So I'm going with the Eagles too. All right, Kevin, next game is
I'm taking the Bills. I want the Bills to be in the Super Bowl.
Ravens and Bills.
And they're playing in Buffalo, and that's probably going to be the best game of the week out of all that. I think.
So you're going with the Bills?
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills. I'm thinking they're going to. I think it's going to be a squeaker, but I think the Bills are going to pull it out. They're going to play in Buffalo, so I don't know. You know how bad luck they've been to like 4 or 5 Super Bowls and ain't won one yet. So,
Right.
And they really come on this last half of the season, and they're playing good right now. And I just want.
All right, Mr. McKissick.
I'm gonna go with the Bills too. I think the Bills could take it.
All right, here's where I'm going to differ. Going with the Ravens.
Ravens, that's too close to Philadelphia for me, man. That's so I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I flew up there last week and visited with the team, so I really think they're going to be good.
You get the vibe.
Well,
Yeah, I got the vibe. I spoke to them and gave them a little pep speech, and they all reacted very well to it.
Wow.
The
All right.
Duncan talk.
Duncan talk. All right, here we go with college championship game. Is this Monday night?
you know what? I don't know. They usually
it's
play them on
Monday.
Monday night
I
because
think
it's
it's this
after
coming Monday.
They're not going to compete with all the playoff games, so it'll probably be Monday night. But
Of course, I know who we're going with, but boy, I think it's just going to be a slaughterhouse.
okay, me and him's already talked about who we're going. Who you like?
I'm gonna go with Ohio State.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I'd love to see Notre Dame win.
I would too, but I think Ohio State's just a dominant team.
They've smoked everybody.
Yep.
They come in and smoked Oregon Ducks.
Yep, they did.
So
All right, that's football talk. Any baseball talk? No, not really.
Mavericks are kind of stinking it up.
It started again.
Mavericks stinking it up this year too.
Well, they have so far because what's his name, Luca. He's been out, and
He's
I think
out injured.
what's the other guy? I don't know nothing.
I don't know anything about Mavericks. I'm not
Man.
a Mavericks.
Dirk.
No,
Nowinski. I do know.
Mr. Nowitzki. What's the?
I
oh,
don't
Anyway,
know.
their other stud. He's out, I think, or last I heard, this was a couple days ago. He's going to miss a game or two. I don't know how much, but anyway, so they're like losing 4 out of 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're
All
not
right.
they're not having it good, but I guess when they get their guys back, maybe they'll step it up.
Is NASCAR still going?
Starts in February.
All right. Do you have a driver?
Me?
No.
Yeah, I'm going with Dale Jr.'s team. He's got a Junior Motorsports is putting they're teaming up with Chris Stapleton, matter of fact,
Really?
Oh.
and he's got a whiskey. It's called Traveler that they just come up with. That Chris Stapleton did. It's actually
A drinkable whiskey? Is that what we're talking about
it's
here?
real
Okay.
whiskey. Yeah,
Okay.
and I forget the name of the distillery. They make stuff that you've heard of before, but anyway, whoever it was, he's friends with some of them people. Anyway, he's known them, and they called him up and was asking about a whiskey or whatever, and they trying to figure out what to call it, and they called it Traveler.
Hmm.
And they said they had to go through and like research if somebody had that name. Well, it turns out they had the name and didn't even know it, so it's going to be Traveler whiskey. But anyway, he teamed up with Dale Jr. Motorsports, and they're going to run a car at Daytona. So I'm assuming Dale Jr. is like he's been at Xfinity for the last. I mean, that's all he's done. He didn't have a car in Cup. So now he's going to have a car in Cup, and
It's going to be covered with the whiskey logo.
Chris Stapleton.
I bet those engines are going to sing. Get it?
I don't get it.
Chris Stapleton's a singer.
Oh, okay.
Golly. All right, so let's move along. Let's talk. All you deer hunters who are tuning in. Randy's, I would say, out of the three of us, he's an expert.
You got to be
Right.
one over me because I'm not an expert.
So let me ask-
Did you hear our last? Did you hear my?
I did.
hunt
We
story?
bragged on
Okay,
your
that's-
son.
I heard the story. Yeah, let me clarify that real quick. First and foremost, my son has not killed a buck in every county in Texas. So
United States.
law enforcement do not come after us. He did have a stellar year, though. He did the Triple Crown on your Texas tag, you have 3 buck tags. And as long as you kill 3 bucks in 3 different counties, you are perfectly legal. And that's exactly what he did. So, yeah, he did the Triple Crown this year. He got 3 nice bucks. I got a fairly nice buck, a big 10-point opening weekend, the Monday of opening weekend. And
Okay, when was that?
I don't know.
November?
that was November, first weekend in November.
Okay.
Opening weekend for gun season is always the first weekend in November. Now for bow season, it's the first weekend in October. So
Do
you
you
got a
bow hunt?
month. We did this year, and I have in the past a few years. I'm getting too old to pull a bow back. And a lot of people are going to
Well.
probably hate on this, but we do use a crossbow. It's just so much easier on the body.
True.
But yeah, I did not bow hunt this year, but I have in the past. Now my son bow hunted this year all month, and that's when he got his first buck of the season was bow season.
All right, I'm not a hunter, so I don't know what the.
Why are you wearing a camouflage hat if you ain't a hunter?
I'm trying to fit in here. I don't know what the etiquette is on this, but like a fisherman, you go walk up and see his big boat full of fish, and you're like, "Where'd you catch all them?" He's gonna lie to you,
Right.
Do people tell where they?
Nobody gives away their honey holes. Well, the thing about deer hunting is if you have access to private land, then by all means, keep that access as long as you possibly can. Public land, I'm just not a big fan of public land. I think it's dangerous because you
Just
never
a matter
know.
of hunters.
Sure.
Yeah, you never know who's out there, and unless you're wearing hunter orange, which a lot of people in Texas, it's not required. So a lot of people in Texas don't wear it; they wear just regular camouflage. So that's why I'm not a big fan of public land.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you have access to private land, by all means,
Is that what you do?
hunt it. Yeah, we have a family-owned land that's been in my family for about 30 years now.
In Texas?
And it's in
Okay.
Texas.
North, south, east, west?
Southwest.
Southwest.
Yeah, Hamilton County.
Ooh, I love that
So
area.
it's part of the hill country. It's right on the edge of the hill country, and that is.
I used to
that's
hunt giraffes
really-
out there.
Did you really?
Hard to find them.
Yeah.
Had a hard time.
Well, you can go to Glenrose
Let's
and go
go.
to the what is that drive-through park?
Yeah, the
wildlife
safari.
park? Yeah. You get you.
All right, let's go back to the beginning, Randy. When did it all start for you? How old were you?
For me personally, I was 6 years old.
Oh, my.
My dad took me on my first hunt, and I had a passion for it. I grew to love it, and he took me with him every chance he could. Of course, he would be on these big company leases, and I would always hunt with him.
He was the big dog.
He was one of the big dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was always on these big company leases, and I got to go with him several times. But then further down through the years, we purchased our own land, or he purchased our own land, I should say. It was he and Mom bought this land, like I said, almost 30 years ago.
How many acres is
It's
it?
123 acres. Now, in Texas,
Are we
legally,
inheriting that? Are we getting some of that?
that remains to be seen. I won't get into the specifics of all that, but we'll just see how that plays
And
out.
Kevin, we waiting.
But in Texas, you can
That might
legally
become a
hunt 10 acres. It'd be kind of tough to do, in my opinion, but 10
Yeah, I
acres.
was told by a cop when you say 10 acres, because I don't have 10 acres here, but I walk outside and I'll shoot my guns. Like if you walked on the other side of my trailer over, there's a dead tree laying there, and that thing used to be, it was about that big around. It was huge.
Whittled
But it's
down.
probably got about 600 rounds in the trunk of it, and it finally just died and fell over. So, but it was just like an old boat arc tree anyway. But I asked the cop. He came over here one day, getting his hair, or his wife's getting her hair done or whatever, and he said legally you're supposed to have 10 acres. And I told him, I said, I'll go out there and I'll hit that stuff or whatever. And he said, no. He said, if ain't nobody complaining about it,
Right.
don't worry about it. He said, but if somebody calls, we got to come out.
Right.
And they'll probably just tell you to stop.
We got
Oh, yeah.
every night. Is it at the end of the road or over
I
here?
don't know.
And
it's
they
over.
have those.
They got ARs or they got
Oh
something
my
going on.
God!
It's-
Every night. just about, I mean, every night, almost every night. I'd say 6 nights out of the week.
On the weekends, it's like that out of my place. We live on 40 acres out near Greenville, and it's like a war zone out there on the weekends. Now we have hunted that land out there too, and that's one of the parts of my son's Triple Crown that he got. Matter of fact, his daughter got her first deer out
I
there
seen that
this
I see
year.
y'all posted that.
Now
Yeah.
tell me, Triple Crown again? It's
It's three different bucks in 3 different counties.
okay. It's
So-
not every county in the state.
Not every county is.
That's a shame.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Well, you got to be right on the edge of Dallas to get that one in there.
You can probably go down there to Trinity River and
Yeah,
maybe hunt something.
So
else.
6 years old, and you've been
6
doing it
years
every
old.
year since, maybe?
Just about every year.
Every year.
Now there were some times in there where girls kind of took my interest away from deer hunting. So when the hormones started to kick in, and all
Yeah,
that.
27.
28, 12.
Yeah, no doubt.
well, that's a good time to break up with them. It's during hunting
I
season.
gotta
That's
go hunt.
Christmas and all that stuff.
Christmas,
Hey,
yeah.
look, we can't do this. So I got to go hunting.
Pick it back up after February 14th.
Yeah.
It's golden.
Absolutely.
Well, I've never
Yeah.
been a hunter, and I mean, but like I said last week, I'm a fanatic. I love guns. I love to shoot guns,
Me too.
and I've probably got a half a dozen that I've never have shot yet.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Oh,
like if
so-
if I run across one, somebody wants to get rid of it, I'm the guy. Usually, I'll buy it. But I just never have. If you heard my hunting story last week, that was my only trip deer hunting, and Sonny
Yeah.
went dove hunting with him when I was about, I don't know, right after. I mean, like 6 months after we got married.
You and Sonny?
No, me and Robin.
Oh, okay.
I went with Sonny.
Yeah, I was confused.
So I mean, it was like that's been 42 years ago, pretty much. So that was my only dove hunting, and
I used to dove hunt a lot before.
Yeah, we used to dove it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd hunt out there on my mom's place. She had 7 acres at the end of a horseshoe in her land,
spread out.
pie shaped out, backed up to Evans, Bob Evans
Mhm.
of Circle Grill, backed up to
Oh,
his
wow.
place. So it was nothing but pasture land out there. And we'd go out there and limit out, opening morning, 15, 20 minutes. And boy, it's now you go out there and throw a rock and hit a house. There's so
Yeah.
many developments out there.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's not even worth it.
But
What was that? That was kind of like I-30 East out there somewhere. Like was that where it was at? Like, wasn't his place somewhere out there pretty close to that restaurant he had on 30 at one time?
he may have had a place out there, but where I'm talking about is off of 548,
Okay.
80 and 548.
Forney area, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, dude had some big time horses
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
man.
He had a lot of cattle too, man. It's
So give us your opinion on your favorite pistol to shoot with.
favorite pistol.
Yeah.
Oh,
deer hunt.
To deer hunt with.
If
shot
I
him
were
with-
to deer hunt with a pistol, wow, it'd have to be probably 44.
All right. What is your preferred
What do you
rifle?
hunt with?
My preferred caliber is a 270.
What brand of rifle? do you-
Remington.
Remington.
Now I bought shortly before Julie and I got married. I bought a Remington 270 from a guy in Pleasant Grove at a gun shop in Pleasant Grove.
Better
Uh,
check the numbers on
Yeah.
that. Bro, that's
I've had that thing for a little over 30 years now, and that's
Golly.
the only gun. No, I take that back. It's not the only gun I've ever killed deer with, but that's the main gun that I hunt with every year. For the past probably 20 years, it's the only gun I've ever killed deer with. Before that, I had a 30-30 Winchester that my dad had bought for me, and that's what I killed my first deer with. And ironically, that's what my son killed his first deer with.
Mm.
And
I got a
that's the
30-30.
thing about me and hunting. It's not just going out there and killing deer for the trophy or for the meat or whatever. It's the number one, the bonding experience, because my son and I are super close, and it's because
How old is he
I
now?
want to think he's 27 now.
Okay.
But I want to think it's mostly to do with deer hunting, because out
How
there
much
it's
time you
just
spend
me
together.
and him. Yeah. And the other thing is just getting out there, and I don't want to sound cornball or anything like that, and being one with nature, but it's kind of that. My favorite part of any deer hunt is being in the blind at dark, before sunrise, and watching the sun come up and watching the woods and the forest wake up.
Yeah, that's
There's several
In the
times,
dark before sunrise.
especially if you got that propane heater going on.
Oh my!
But no, watching the woods wake up and watching everything come alive, and then all of a sudden you're looking down at something, and you look up and there's 3 or 4 deer at your feet. To me, it's a magical.
So
time.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about, me and him talked about, like, when I went hunting up in Colorado, with my dad and them, and I didn't care if I killed a deer or saw it, just the fact I was up in the top of the mountains, and just the sun would come up, and you'd see animals going through the snow, not deer, but other animals going through the snow, and you're just like, I was just happy just I was there.
Oh yeah.
I didn't care if I saw anything or not.
And like I say, to me, that's what a successful hunt is about. It's not about going out there and killing something. It's about being a part of nature and watching
Whole
nature,
thing.
watching the deer come in, and just a successful hunt is being able to see wildlife in its natural habitat.
Yeah,
and just watching it unfold in front of you.
I think what you're talking about, the father son deal and all that. My dad never was a hunter. My dad worked all the time, and I think that's my deal. I got married. I was barely out of high school, had 3 kids, and so everything is like just work,
Right.
try to keep food on the table, keep them doing stuff or whatever, So I guess that's why maybe I never got into hunting. Once they got a little older, that's when I did go hunting. So I can see what you're saying. It would have been, and I had girls, so they didn't care nothing about deer hunting,
That'd be a little difficult.
Yeah, my dad took us dove hunting all the time, and then when I was older, I was working at Coke, wasn't I, Kevin? When me and Dad and
Yeah.
Uncle Bill went to Colorado to go elk and deer hunting up there. Again, I was just glad to be in Colorado, so I didn't really care
Right.
about anything else. I do have a funny story though. Uncle Bill said he had nuzzled himself down in some of this, foliage type stuff, and he was kind of, hidden. And this is public land, so this is what you're talking about. These guys come walking up on him, and he was so covered up they didn't even see him. And one of them turned towards him and started peeing right there at my uncle's feet. And my uncle's sitting there, sitting there going, "Is this really happening?" He told us that story, and I said, "Man, you should have just jumped out of that stuff and scared him to death."
I would have done it just for the.
You wouldn't have scared the pee out of me.
No, you wouldn't. But it was so funny.
I would have done it just for the laugh.
Oh, yeah.
I'd still be
For
laughing
sure.
about it.
It was
For sure.
hilarious. I couldn't believe that happened to him. But yeah, I can understand you talking about public land, and a lot of them clowns won't wear the orange.
No,
And they don't understand the deer can't see that orange.
no,
Uh,
they can't.
But they, I don't know what it is, but you end up shooting them.
If we lived in a day and time where everybody under the sun followed the rules, it'd be a different story.
Right.
But people don't. I mean, people just don't. And that's all there is to it. But back to what I was saying about it being a bonding experience. Yeah, I hunted all my life, all my young adult life with my dad. And I started my son hunting at about 6 years old too. And so he did like I did though. He hunted, he got into it there for a little while. And then once girls started coming into the picture, he took a little break, which that's
all right.
perfectly fine. That's part of growing up, But once he got his family established and everything, and he got back into it, now you can't pull that kid away from that stuff. I mean, he is so passionate about it.
110%.
Oh my gosh, yes, he is. He can
So how many times a season does he go out?
as often as he
Every
possibly
weekend
can.
or whenever he
weekend.
takes vacation?
If we don't have jobs going on, he'll go in the middle of the week. I mean, he's that passionate about it.
Awesome.
And one thing about it is that the more passionate you are about it, the more time and effort you put into your plot or your feeder or whatever it is, the more results you're going to see. Because he feeds year round. We both feed year round. A couple of years ago, he got into protein feeding, And I think that has been a direct result of the bigger deer we're seeing, because I know protein has been taken a big boom here in the last few years.
Okay, for all of us ignorant of feed before and going to protein, was this corn?
Yeah, you typically people would just feed corn, just bags of corn, put them in a feeder, and it throw it out. Well, now you can do the same thing with protein. They make little protein pellets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I was thinking of a block or whatever.
I was thinking of a protein
you
shake.
can
You know, you shake it up and pour it out there. That's
mix
what I do.
Mix them a drink. But no, they make protein in all kinds of forms now.
So it's pellets like horses eat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
small pellets like about the size of corn, so it can be thrown out of a feeder.
Do you mix it with corn, or is just basically that's it?
You can.
What does he do?
Like my son's set up, he has his corn feeder, and then next to that he has a gravity feed pellet or protein feeder. Yeah. So he pours the bags of protein in the feeder, and it just by gravity, just comes down. And they know that when they come to feed on that corn, there's protein there also. So they'll eat their share of corn, then they'll move to the protein.
What do you think about the protein? Do you think that makes a bigger deer, or does that make like bigger antlers, or
both? It supplements the deer, and like I say, we do it year round. It supplements the deer during the summer months so that they're getting those vitamins and nutrients and staying healthy. Because that's the main thing in Texas is the heat. It will drag an animal down if they can't find water and a food source. It will drag them down bad. So since we feed year round, we have noticed over the past few years that we're starting to see more quality deer, bigger antlers, bigger bodies.
More
healthier.
People going to that?
I think so. I think it's gotten popular over the last few years. So a lot of people are switching to corn and protein, or just protein.
Well, pictures I see posted and people out here talking, mostly it's just like 8 points,
Right.
They got me an 8 point. Like an 8 point is like,
8
is that the standard?
8 points is typical.
Yeah, it's just like
this would have been on a 8 point.
Would have been an 8 point.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like when you start seeing 10 points and more, that's
when you're getting.
That's probably like the result of what you say.
Older deer, number one, and healthier deer. A lot of people don't know, and that's why I brought this. This is called a shed. Deer will drop their antlers every year.
I had no idea.
At the end of the rut, usually around the end of towards the end of the winter, but not necessarily, because they're already dropping them now. These will drop off. It's just,
do you know that, Kevin?
bone.
I knew that. Yeah,
I didn't know they dropped off.
They'll drop off and they'll regrow them every year.
And the new ones are covered in that felt, that velvet.
The velvet, yeah. And they'll before the rut, they'll go to rub that velvet off. They'll get up against a tree and rub it off.
Yeah.
And this will be the result of it. Of course, now this was found by my son in a field down at our place in Hamilton several years ago. So this is quite old. But if you don't find that, and that's one of the things about after the deer season is over, this is a fun thing to do, is just go out shed hunting, because they're
a lot of people do that. And I know a guy that I rodeoed with back in high school. He does it in the same thing like Kyle was doing. They'd find these things. They make lamps with them. They do all kinds of stuff.
Chandeliers made out of them.
My brother does that kind of stuff.
Now this right here, I don't know if y'all can see that. That is a direct result of a mouse feeding on that, because these are pure calcium. Once they're dropped and they age a little bit, the mice will feed on these. So
do you suggest us licking it for calcium or anything?
By all means, if you would like. Now, here's the other result. I brought Kevin and Casey. This is summer sausage, jalapeno, and cheese.
Casey don't like.
I like summer sausage.
I
don't like what?
Now this is
you don't
this
like
is
jalapeno,
venison.
but
yes. I had a jalapeno burger last night.
I absolutely will.
He loves jalapeno. I do eat jalapenos on my burgers.
I tell you what, man, you slice that thing up thin on a Ritz cracker.
There we go.
You got game time food right there.
And I'm gonna tell my wife it's hot, because
she won't touch it.
All you got to do is mention jalapenos. Like I don't want none of
She
those.
don't want it. She don't want it. She don't want it.
So that's all mine.
That came from my
appreciate
my
that
10 point this year.
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Did
Did you pay Kevin the $500 to be on here already?
yet.
Not yet, okay.
You take
I got
a
something
get
I want
250
to.
of it.
Yeah,
Split it up.
I got something I want to ask you about calibers. You know, everybody hunted seemed like with a 30-06.
Mhm.
That was the. I mean, like I don't know. Maybe you know more than I. I'm sure you do. Like most people that I know of, that's just what they had is 30-06,
Right.
and 30-06 to me, what I'm finding out, I get articles. I'm USCCA.
Yeah.
I'm a member.
Yeah.
So I get magazines and a lot of. They're talking about like 30-06 is just not as popular as it used to be, and I don't know why, but maybe it's because there's so much other stuff like the 270 or whatever that's come out and all these other calibers. What do you think most people are hunting with?
What I have learned in my time of deer hunting is 270 probably is the most popular deer hunting caliber, only because of the fact that it is the flattest shooting rifle out there.
Which means
besides-
what to
There's no
arc?
trajectory. So when a 30-06 has a very high trajectory, so it's gonna when you shoot it, it's gonna come up and level out and hit your target. You don't have to compensate for that, but
Because it's set up
just,
already for it.
just
Yeah.
know that's what
That's
happens.
just the flight of the bullet.
Yeah. Now the 270 is a flat shooting, has basically no trajectory.
Wow.
Same thing with a.
Now, how far away, before you go to the next thing, how
About-
far away is that flat direct?
Everything you hear typically is based at 100 yards.
Okay.
So yeah.
Didn't know
when
that.
you go to sight a gun in, you want to sight it in at 100 yards. That's just the standard, pretty much. Now, I have heard a lot too here lately about the 6.5 Creedmoor. Do you know anything about those?
I know what they are, but I don't. You know, as far as hunting or anything
Well,
like
Is that the
I
name of the
don't-
rifle, Creedmoor?
Well, no, that's
That's
the
the
name of the
ambulance.
caliber.
Oh, caliber. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
like
don't
the
know
NATO,
where
or
they-
no, that's the 5.56. I'm thinking of the NATO round or whatever
Yeah,
they
that's
call
the
it.
NATO round. The 5.56 and the 223, which is a typical AR-15
Mm-hmm.
caliber, they are really, really close to the same thing. I mean, within
One will shoot the other, won't it? I mean, like,
5.56 will shoot a 223.
but a
But a
223 will not shoot.
shoot a 5.56.
Right. I knew it was something like
It's
I
that.
don't
confusing.
understand that.
Yeah, it's very confusing because they're so similar. You would think they'd be interchangeable, but in one way they are, but in the other way they're not. But yeah, 6.5 Creedmoor has gotten real popular. A lot of people hate on those things, and I don't know why, because it's a good caliber. A buddy of mine, we were hunting with him last weekend. He dropped a doe like that with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and so
What's the difference between the 6.5 and the 270 as far as the
the
entrance and
range-
exit wounds and all that and all, you know, I mean, like this
Not-
dropping power
not
or
really
whatever?
Much. It all is going to depend on your bullet. Now, if you're hunting with a hollow point, which I don't recommend at all, you're going to have a very small entrance wound, but you're going to have an exit wound
Yeah.
about that big because a hollow point expands on impact. And it's really all just personal preference. You want to get something that's going to be a clean shot through and through, small entrance and small exit, which is 6.5 Creedmoor. 270 is pretty much that. Even the 30-06, a lot of them don't have large exit wounds. Anytime you get into the hollow point, or the they call it, there's another name for it, I can't think of it. Anything that's going to expand on impact is going to leave you a large exit wound. You don't want that in a deer because that takes away from a lot of your meat.
I got a 300 blackout, and it's
And that's good caliber too.
I got about 300 rounds of ammo when I bought the gun.
Mhm.
That came with it,
Wow.
and there were ballistic tip.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
Or is-
Ballistic tip are a little different. I hunt with a ballistic tip, and that's a clean round. What I'm talking about is at the end of the bullet, it's got a hollowed out,
yeah.
and there's a little. It looks like a little pin or a little needle in there. Well, as soon as that bullet hits that skin, it mushrooms out. And a lot of them mushroom out and just tumble through there, and that's what makes the large exit wound.
So that's not a good thing,
ballistic
though, is
tip,
it, for deer hunting?
Not for deer hunting. No.
Okay.
A ballistic tip though is a very clean round. I think with my 270, I think I've only hunted ballistic tips. So yeah, it's a good round.
Question: what part of the deer is your goal to hit?
You want to hit
The neck
on
or
a profile. No, I would never take a neck shot.
Okay.
I'd never take a neck shot. I know that people do, and they drop them like that most of the time. But you got to realize there's a large area in there
With
where
nothing.
it'll just pass through,
Yeah.
and it won't affect the deer at all.
Gotcha.
I've seen deer with wounds through and through, and they're as healthy as can be. But on a side profile, you
Pump
want to
station.
aim for just behind the shoulder. Now the shoulders, front shoulders on deer are free floating, meaning they're not connected like with a ball joint,
Right.
like the hips are. They're free floating. They're connected with ligaments and muscles and everything. So just behind the left shoulder, about middle ways down on the body, if you shoot right there, you're going to hit first lung, heart, and second lung most of the time. Now, it also depends on the angle too. Angle away, angle from, or angling to and angling away.
Is that a
What you
song?
don't want.
Ted Nugent calls that the pump station. That's, get 'em right at the pump station.
yeah, there you go. What you don't want to do is gut shot it, because that creates a mess and a smell.
So when I was a kid,
is that the deal to smell? Because I mean, like hog hunting, you go hog hunting, you gut one of them suckers, and tell them what's going to be in there. But
hogs stink anyway.
yeah, but I mean, like if you gut shot one of them,
if
it's
you gut
pretty
shot
rank.
it's going to be pretty rank.
I didn't know if a deer was. I didn't know deer was
Now,
like that. Really.
Any inside of an animal to me is going to stink, because I mean that's just the way it is. But if you do gut shot one, you can pretty much smell it walking up on it. But you've got.
Does it screw the meat up or anything, or you just got to deal with the smell?
Not really. The only thing that would screw the meat up would be if you were cleaning it and you didn't cut away. There's tarsal glands on the backs of the deer's legs, that the real dark spots, and that's where they urinate and rub them together, and that's their scent glands. And that's what attracts doe.
Do you ever spray that stuff on you so they don't smell you?
No, I would never spray it on me.
Not that stuff, but there's stuff you can buy. You don't ever do that.
Well, now what we spray on us is a scent killer.
Calvin Klein.
It kills everything.
Grab the tag. No, but you want to neutralize your scent.
So what do you
now
spray?
We are religious about washing our clothes, our hunting clothes, in a scent-free. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you want to take a shower before you.
That would just totally mess him up.
That's why I never saw a deer.
You get the deer blind when you go smell these, man.
My dad and my uncle saw everything. I didn't see anything.
Because they smelt your lemon fresh hunting gear.
That's one of the strongest things about a deer is their sense of smell.
Yeah.
And they can pick you up. They can wind you 100 yards away. If the wind is blowing their direction, they can pick up your scent. So the more that you can do to neutralize that scent, the better chance you have.
Wow.
So
A lot goes into it.
a lot does go into it, and it's that's why I got into it at an early age, and that's why I've stuck with it, because there's so much to learn. I mean, I'm still learning things. My son is actually still teaching me things, but he does a lot of research on it. So
That's
he
cool.
watches a lot of YouTube videos on it. So he knows his stuff.
My passion is cars, and we just got 2 new ones, but I'm still watching car videos. My wife is so sick of it.
You never see enough deer hunting.
Kevin's is rodeo, so he's the rodeo king.
Right. He's always been that way. That's one thing I've always admired about him, is he's always known everything about rodeo.
That's my go-to sport right there.
Passion.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a passion. And speaking of that,
before you say that,
okay.
just so you know, when we were kids, me and a couple of my friends, we'd run after the deer and jump on their back and twist them down like calf wrestling.
Yeah.
Calf wrestling. See,
steer wrestling. Steer wrestling. We'd run and jump on them, but we're pretty fast. Not everybody can do that. All right, go ahead with your story.
All I was going to say is if you get the opportunity to take a kid hunting,
oh yeah,
please do it. I mean, that you could spark an interest in them and just set them up for life.
Have you ever hunted Colorado?
I never have. That's on my bucket list. I have several hunts on my bucket list, and one of them is a very simple one. And I do have some friends in Kansas that could hook me up if they felt like it.
Ooh.
I would love to go pheasant hunting in Kansas because they've got an abundant amount of pheasants up there, and just walk in a field. And
That's big up in the Dakotas too.
Yeah,
Pheasant.
Dakotas and Nebraska.
When I was living in Colorado, is it still this way? To hunt in Colorado, you have to go through a course. Still,
Well, yeah, you have to have a safety hunters course for number
you have to
one.
have it from Colorado though, because back in the day, you had to go to
Laws are
Colorado's hunting
different
course.
in each state
Yeah,
as far as hunting goes.
yeah. I had to go do that.
Now, see, I was kind of grandfathered in. I got my hunting license when I was very young, and they didn't have the hunter safety course like they do now. Now, to get a hunting license, you have to go through a
Safety hunters
hunter
course. Yeah.
if you're below a certain age. So, but yeah.
So right now at your age, though, real quick, right now at your age, if you went to Colorado, would they make you go through it in Colorado?
Not that I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know they were so strict back in the day with that crap.
Different state, different set of rules.
Okay, all right.
Now I do know that states like that also have a lottery that you have to draw.
Yeah, there's only so
for-
many people like
for
bear
bucks
hunting and all that
and-
stuff here. There,
Yeah.
if the bear's not that abundant, they'll only give like
A certain amount of tags out, and you have to draw for those tags. And if you
Oh,
don't
wow.
have a tag, then you
elk. I
basically
think
can't
are the
hunt.
same way for out of state people
Exactly.
too. Like if you
It's
want
a
to go,
lottery.
yeah. I don't.
Wow.
When y'all went up there, how'd y'all? I mean, like what you just? I know you was along for the ride, but
Yeah, I was along for
Your
the
dad
ride,
and
but
all.
I remember going through the hunter course and all that to able to just go up there and have the opportunity to shoot anything. But I don't remember if you were limited to.
I mean, like your Uncle Bill or your dad or whatever. Did anybody mention anything about a lottery or anything like that?
No, I don't
How they
remember
got-
that word. I remember my dad bought a permit or whatever it's called
License.
to
tags.
shoot something special. My uncle paid a lot more so he could shoot an elk.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, he paid extra and he was able to. He could shoot elk if he saw one. So, it was so like you say. Some of these hunters on the public land, the elk will be 600 yards away and they're shooting at it.
Yep.
And it's through valleys and mountains. If they shot it, it would take them 2 days to get to it.
Yeah.
And that's how stupid some of these. Yeah. So anyway, I won't go there.
Well, and
You talk
again,
about-
that's why I'm not against hunting public land, because if that's all you got, that's all you got. You know,
Just be careful.
just be very
Jeez.
careful. Follow the rules. We're the hunter, Orange. Be safe.
You talking about Kansas a while ago? Driving a truck for a living. I've been all through there. I used to run the back roads. We'd get around the scales.
Yeah.
And we'd run into Oshkosh and then cut
Yeah.
down through the woods. And anyway, we'd come out in Goodland, Kansas, and that scale was over here. We'd come out over here and take off. But anyway, I was cutting down through there. It's about 200 miles. When you leave Interstate 80 and you start running the back roads, it's about 200 miles to get down to Interstate 70.
Yep.
I'm weaving down through there at night. You can run 70 miles an hour through there, and nothing but farmland. And I come around the curve, and the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life. He's one of them kind of like you see hanging up in on the wall somewhere, you know, that one of the non-typical looking kind. I mean, this sucker, like steroid kind of thing. Because, I mean, deer that you see around here a lot of times, they're just like, you know,
Yes.
a big German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. Different areas are going to hold different size deer. Like Texas, I mean, there's certain areas in Texas that have a good size of bucks. We're starting to see some move in down there, and I think, like I said earlier, I think the protein's got a lot to do with it. But the further up north you get, where the habitat changes and the environment changes, the bigger they are, the more fat they have to put on their
Yeah.
bodies. So the bigger they're
And a lot of that going through where I was going through was nothing but cornfields, wheat fields, and I'm
Yes,
like, it's
exactly.
probably like,
Yeah. Oh, they got a
buffet.
smorgasbord
Yeah.
out there. They're
So-
free range.
Is this flashing?
mhm.
Yours is flashing.
Well, I don't know.
That's scary.
Well, all right. So what else?
Well, I was going to talk about. I wrote on a plane with a guy who they have ranchers from all across the country fly in and they sell sperm from these non-typical.
Yep.
and they raise them out somewhere out in East Texas.
They raise them over in Terrell. There's places over in
Yeah,
Terrell.
and are some of those places where you can go and hunt on them too, or not? Or do they just?
Well,
He said
now
they'll
those-
get ranchers bid on the sperm of these non-typicals.
Now they will. Those are basically pen raised. They will have people from like these big outfitters that will come and buy the sperm and everything and create their own. To me, that's if that's the only way you got to hunt, and the only way you're going to be able to kill a big deer or a trophy deer, then by all means, whatever floats your boat. I'm not against it.
Just not your thing.
I like the more natural.
Wow. Yeah.
My son kind of.
That's almost like going fishing in one of them catfish ponds. It's
Exactly.
like
I love that.
Yeah, you're almost
We
guaranteed
gave
to fish.
Well, there's one not too far from here, and they were like,
Yeah, going
You
out
can't
on
throw
the
the
boat
fish
for
back.
three. Yeah,
Yeah.
going
You
out on the
throw
boat
a dry
for 3
hook
hours.
out there and
Amen.
drag in a
Well,
catfish.
I saw an advertisement for a lease one time, and it said, we charge you X amount of dollars, say just hypothetically $2,000. If you don't get a deer, you're guaranteed to get a deer. And if you don't get a deer, we'll give you $1,000 of that back. They're still making $1,000 per person
Yeah.
per day,
Yeah.
or however often it is.
But
So
it's like gambling.
It
The
really
opportunity
is.
to
It
get the
really
big
is.
one.
So
You may get it, you may not. You may lose your
And
$1,000.
what that, to me, basically boils down to is if you have the opportunity to have your own land, by all means, take it.
Yeah.
Take
All right,
it.
I think we're running out of time here.
I think we're on.
Are we off? But hopefully that's still picking us up. So anyway, is that wrong?
Yeah, it's off.
Okay, so hopefully you're hearing this. All right, let's wrap this up.
Thank you for having me.
Website or YouTube channel.
Heard That Outdoors. HERD.
Heard that outdoors. Also, you want to promote your wife's?
Yeah, she has a channel. She does a lot of construction, a lot of home building, remodeling, basically top to bottom, anything. Hers is Heard That exclamation point. HERDTHAT exclamation point. Her name is Julie, and go check out some of her videos.
All right, you're the guest. Tell them what they need to do to help us out.
Like this video, share it out with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and hit that notification bell. What that will
Please.
do is anytime these guys come out with a new podcast, a new video, anything, it will send you a notification to your phone so you will be aware of it so you can watch it immediately.
All right, a quick tip for the Mexican ladies in Mesquite who drive the green expeditions all over Mesquite. Go take a driver's ed course, please. I think that'll wrap it up. I'm Casey.
I'm kidding.
I'm Randy, and
I'm
thank
Kevin.
you all for having me.
Yes, sir.
Adios.
See you later. By the way, we forgot to bring in Mini Me. There we go. Yeah.